Welcome back to part 2, and we're looking at the power for these LEDs. This little circuit board here is what's called a DC to DC buck converter, and it simply means that you can put DC in and it'll give you DC out. Well, that's why it's called DC to DC. It's controlled by this little screw on the top here. So for example, you can put 12 volt in and you can change this and get 5 volt out. Now, why don't we just use 5 volts? Well, this will give you a steady 5 volts. So if you're using, say, a 9 volt battery, this and use the 9 volt input here and get a steady 5 volt out, then as the 9 volt battery reduces in power to 8, 7, 6, you will still get a constant 5 volt output here. So they're quite handy for small jobs like what we're using on the LEDs. This is a 2 amp one, and there's nowhere near that we're going to be using anything like 2 amps on the LEDs there. So this little circuit board only costs a few quid from Amazon, is quite good. So what we need to do first of all, we need to check to see if this is set right. So we need to do some input there and some output testing to make sure that we've got the right voltage. Right, so what we'll do is we'll use our bench transformer here, and we'll connect the jump leads to this. So we've got plus in and ground in. There we go. I think I've got a couple of other leads here. So what we'll do, we use the white for ground and we'll use the black for plus. There we go. Right, so let's bring in our tester. I hope you can see that all right. And we'll connect the leads up, so the white goes on the black lead. And the black we're using as the plus, so connect that one up there. Right, okay, so let's turn the transformer on. I think it's set to about, oh, I was going to say 12 volts, actually set for 8 volts, so there we go. So we've got 8 volts coming in, 5 volts coming out. So let's have a quick look at our, yeah, okay. So this is also putting out 7.5 volts as well. So we need to and all I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn this screw, and as I do this, you should see the voltages on here dropping down, and we need to drop that down till it's about 5 volts. So 5.5, 5.4, 5.2. So there we go. I'm going to leave it at about 5.1. There we go. And the reason why I'm leaving it at 5.1 is this has got to power the board as well as the LEDs. So it will drop a few volts. So that's why I'm leaving it at 5.1. So there we go. Just hold to that screw on the top there. And do your test. Make sure you use your tester to make sure you get the right voltage. So that's that done. So let's just disconnect all that. Move that to one side for the next bit. So we know that this is going to be powered from this, and also our LEDs is going to be powered from this as well. So we're going to use a couple of these blocks here for the connections. We may solder them up later on, but we're going to use these for the time being. So let's have a quick look. So we need to have the ground, which is that cable there. So these are what are called Wango connections. Very good, because all you do is you just put your wires in, push them down, and it's connected. Then when you want to change it, you just lift them up and you can pull the wires out. Right, what else we got? We've got the 5 volts, so we can put that in one as well. Okay, so now we need to get some leads that goes from here that'll go into these as well. So have I got any leads on my desk anywhere that I could use? Yeah, here's a bit of cable. This will do us. Right, and what we're going to do is solder these onto the board, onto the output of the board. This is white cable this side, this is white cable the back stripe, so I'm going to use the side of the black stripe as the plus. Okay, so we're looking at the board and we've got input this side, we've got output this side, and output plus is in the corner here. So we just feed that through there and just bend it back slightly. Ground goes in there and bend that back slightly. Right, they are now ready to be soldered. So zoom in so you can see what's going on. Here we are. And I'll bring my magnifying glass in so I can see what's going on. Right, so I've got those two leads on. So they're on the output of the, stick the light on so you can see it, there we go. So we got out minus, out plus, and the plus has got the black line on it. So now we've done that, we can connect that into these. So our red cable here is the plus, stick that in the middle, and the ground or the negative is that one there. So that's the power to those. We also need power to the LEDs. So let's get our LED strip, which is just here. So again, the red cable is the plus, put that in there. The white cable is the ground, or the, I know you keep saying negative, but it's the ground. And then this cable is a signal cable, which is on this one here, and this one connects to the P3 on the board. So let's just temporarily connect that onto there. Okay, that's that done. Right, let's now connect the power, the input power to this side. Right, so here we go on our power. So make sure we get this right around. Plus is there. I'm running this off the bench supply at the moment. Ground is there. So we've got a light on the circuit board there, light on the circuit board there, and after a few seconds, there we go, we've got the LEDs that are working as well. So we know everything's connected and working, which is great news. So now we can have a look at the hat. So this is the hat we're going to use. I bought it from Amazon. It's just cardboardy with a bit of felt around it. There's no label or branding inside it, with a bit of elastic around the edge here. It's quite cheap. I'll double check to see what the price was, but it wasn't particularly expensive. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this banding off here first of all. I think it's stuck on. See if there's, see, these things will hide a joint somewhere. So I reckon, there it is, the joint looks like it's there. So let's have a look. talk amongst yourselves while I do this. Right, that's got that off. I was trying to get this bit of hot glue off, but by doing so I've actually bent my nail back. Right, so that's got that off. These we will use later on. These are just hot glued on to the back of these things. Again, they're only plastic, but we might use that later on for a bit of decoration. Right, okay, so let's put that to one side. In true Blue Peter style, here is something I've prepared earlier, and I'll explain why in a minute. I've just got a bit of cardboard which I put round the hat so it's the right size, and I've covered one side, I've glued one side with just a bit of black cloth. So that's just glued on. That's why I had to do it beforehand, because I left that overnight with a pile of books on them to keep it flat. So what we're going to do with this is what we're going to mount our LEDs on. So we're going to stick that in the middle of there. Then when that's glued, we can then put that around the hat. And then we can glue this to the rim of the hat as well. Now on the back here we do have some sticky tape. I'm not too sure actually how good this is going to be. It might fall off and we might have to re-glue it. So let's see how it goes. Well, they've stuck down pretty good. You can see there's a slight overlap at this end, but that's okay, because when we go round, what we need to do is to hide the wires that they go inside. So that's why there'll be a slight overlap there. Something like that, or like that, or like that even. We'll see anyway. Right, okay, now next thing we need to do is have a think about how this is going to sit inside the hat. Now we can glue it to the back here, but what I might do is make a cardboard insert. In fact, I think I will do. I'm going to make a cardboard insert that will sit at the top of the hat. We can then feed the cables in, and then we can stick these to the cardboard rather than the hat itself. So let's have a look at that. There, that's just going to sit in there. What I might do though is just use a bit of this double-sided tape. Just to help hold it in place. Right, I'm not going to peel these off yet. I'm just pulling them off very slightly, so it'll be easy to pull them off later. Right, okay, so apart from the fact you now know what I have for breakfast, let's get our controllers and things. Right, I'm going to disconnect just the cable that's going to go to the LED, because we need to push that through the hat so the ground can come off and the plus can come off. and the signal's disconnected itself anyway. So let's think about how we're going to do this now. We've also got to get the battery on the board as well. So something like this will be okay. So hot gun time. One hot glue gun warmed up. There's a couple of things we need to remember on this. First of all, we still need to provide power here, which we need to do. I haven't soldered those on yet, so I need to do that first. And also, when we put this on, we need to make sure that we can still access the USB port on it here, because we might want to update the pattern or change it, so that needs to be accessible. But before we do that, one thing I've forgotten to do is to put this on. So let's quickly do this now. So this is just a PP3 adapter that we can put on this. So make sure I get it the right way around. Yeah, it's the same as the other side. So that's our plus in. Bend that over there. Yeah. So right, just making sure that I'm doing it right, and my ground in as well. Bend that over, right, and we can pop a bit of solder on those as well. Right, let's got those in place, okay. It's not going anywhere. Right, now we can go back to the hat. Blob of glue on here. There we go. Blob of glue. That can be fixed down there. Again, don't forget we need to make sure that we can access the USB, so let's do a blob of glue on this. I'll pop that down there. Right, okay, what shall we do now? I think we'll work on the hat next. Okay, a hot glue gun, let's put that to one side. We will use that again in a minute. Right, so this is the front of the hat, that's the back of the hat. We need our LEDs to wrap round there, like that. So we need to make a hole. Just making sure it's about right. So we need to make a hole at the back there. So about there to make a hole. I'm not very good at doing things like this, so let's use this. There we go. So that wire will go through there, like that. Then we can glue this on all the way around, like that. To be about right. Or we can do it that way around. Like that. Right, okay, let's get this glued into place, shall we? Just making sure there's nothing touching or twisted and touching there, so that's okay. So what I'm going to do, we've got plenty of cable here, so we can actually connect everything this side of the hat and then flip it over. So I'm going to use the hot glue gun again. So plug that in, get that warmed up. I need a bigger desk. Right, let's get this glued up. Right, that's got the LEDs around the hat. So what we can do now is reconnect them to our connectors here. So ground one goes in there. Oops. Let's try that again. Ground one goes in there. The live goes in there. And the signal cable goes over here. And what we'll do now it's all in place, is we'll put a dab of solder on that one, if I can get it to stay, that is. There we go, let's just put a dab of solder on that. There we are. And just to protect it that little bit more, let's put a bit of tape on it. Right, now we can push that inside, in there, right at the top end, like that. We've got that bit of cable, that bit slacker cable, so it can go down to there okay. We need a battery, Don't know if it's got any power in this battery, let's have a look. We've got a light on. Got a light on there. Have we got enough power to power the LEDs? We have, look at that. Excellent. Right, so what we need to do is just tidy up these cables a bit. So what I'll do, somewhere on my messy desk, I've got some clips. I've put them in a safe place. There we go. Right, got some clips. So these are just self-adhesive wire clips. I can pop one of those on the cardboard as well, and then we can just clip the cable. It's difficult to see, I apologise, but I'm just going to clip the cables down into there so they don't move around. There we go. Right, so that's them clipped down there. So the last thing really is the battery. I'm going to see if I can find a better battery. This is just a cheap one. Just bear with me for a minute while I get a better battery. one better battery found, so let's get rid of that. We can put that in here. I'm going to use a bit of double-sided tape. I keep saying a lot, apologies. So I'm using double-sided tape because I'm not that keen on some of the YouTube videos I've seen where people use hot glue to stick batteries down. The reason why I don't like that is because batteries run out and you've got to change them. Seems logical to me, so why use hot glue and then you have to ruin it when you take the battery off? So I'm using double-sided tape. Let's pop that on there. We have a light. Battery sticks on there. We've got a light on the power supply. Just there. That's feeding the board, which has come loose, but never mind. Just there. And we've got LEDs lit up on the outside of the hat. There we go. One working LED hat. Now we just need to clear up some of this glue's got stuck on it, so that's okay. We've got these that came off it in the first place. I think I'll hot glue those around as well. Might hide some of that stuff. So if I can put that on there, for example. So give me a minute. I'm just going to hot glue those around the edges. While my hot glue warms up, which is just at the side here, one note I should mention is that we could add a switch. One thing I haven't done is added a switch into this. At the moment I can just simply unplug the cable, but we could add a switch and either hot glue that down, or we could put a switch somewhere on the side of the hat here. So if you want to add a switch, you can do later on. That's absolutely fine. And the other thing is, you could think about adding a fuse. Now I know it may sound odd about a fuse, but you could add a fuse in here just to be on the safe side. I haven't added a fuse this time, but you can do if you wanted to. You just do it on the 5-volt feed, but I'm going to leave it at the moment. I'm not going to be using this for anything other than house parties, because we're in lockdown and we're not allowed out. So let's glue some of these on. So there we go, that's got those on. This is actually a brush I use to keep circuit boards clean, but it does as a good hat brush as well. There we go. Right, okay, so there we go. I think we're just about done. Let us connect the battery cable up. The circuit board's come loose. Let's just see if we can get a dab of glue on there again. There we go. My glue gun's not particularly great. Stick that back down again. There we are. Right, let us get the battery connected up. Lights are on. Turn the big lights off. And there we have it. One working LED hat. That's the back. That's the front. Ready for a party. Well, I hope you've liked and enjoyed that build of a LED hat using a little controller, a power supply and a battery, a little bit of kit cabling. I would say it's a simple build. It's not particularly complicated, just follow the steps that I've done. This should run for quite a while now. I haven't actually timed it, but it should run for quite a while. And don't forget, you can actually go in and change the code. That's the best thing about this. You can play about with the code, add different patterns, chasers and sparkly things, and it'll work absolutely fine. You just plug in the USB cable into the controller, plug it into your laptop, change the code, job done. Quite easy. In fact, I think I'll finish the video with a couple of different patterns. Thanks very much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel. Join me again in the future for some more kit builds and some more LEDs.